What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my main channel, so if you're interested in what if Naruto had Madara and the Kyuubi sealed inside of him, or what if Naruto was a low born in Westeros and became king, go check out my main channel. And if you're interested in what if Naruto was taken over by the Kyuubi when he was born, or what if Naruto was trained by Itachi after leaving Jiraiya, go check out my second channel. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. The city of Adindral celebrated through the night of the Uzumaki's return to Whirlpool. Naruto was treated to his first royal feast where he was introduced to several important political leaders. While he didn't understand much of what was said, he still enjoyed himself since he could eat as much as he wanted. On Naruto's second day in his new home, he was escorted to the royal council room. As he entered the room, he was led to the empty seat to his grandfather's left, seating across from his uncle, who was seated on his grandfather's right side. "Hey grandpa," Uncle Kenshin said Naruto with a smile on his face. His uncle gave him an acknowledging nod while his grandfather answered him with a smile. "Good morning Naruto-kun, so why do you need to see me, and who are all these people?" he asked, pointing at the several people sitting around the table. "They are some of my most trusted captains of the Guardian Corps. Everyone in this room, your uncle, and me included, will all become your teachers in the different areas of study you will be learning over the next few years." "All of them? Why that many different teachers?" asked Naruto. Naruto's question caused some chuckles from the people in the room. "Because Naruto, you are the future ruler and leader of Whirlpool. It will be your responsibility to guide and protect the people of our nation. You must always remember, Naruto, it isn't the people that serve us, but we as their leaders that serve them. And to be able to be a good leader, you will need to learn many different things. We will help you to learn by teaching you some of our expertises," said Genryusai, motioning to the people in the room. Naruto sat a little straighter after hearing that. He then looked briefly at the people around the table before he looked back to his grandfather. "I promise to do my best, Grandpa." Genryusai smiled at him. "That's all we will ever ask of you, Naruto. Now I will be teaching you the art of sealing as well as politics and economics. Your Uncle Kenshin will be teaching you Kenjutsu and, more importantly, the Hiten Mitsurugi style of our clan. When you are ready, he will also be teaching you how to use our bloodline." "What's a bloodline and how do you use it?" asked an excited Naruto. "I will teach you everything when the time comes," Naruto responded. Kenshin, in what Naruto quickly named his grumpy voice, since he always looked mad when he talked like that. "Now I believe we should let your new teachers introduce themselves and tell you what is it that they will be teaching you. Why don't we start with you, Sano?" Genryusai said, pointing to the man sitting next to Kenshin. The man named Sano was a tall and lean but muscular man. He had long spiky black hair and wore a red headband around his forehead that reached past his shoulders. Sano wore white pants and had white bandages wrapped around his stomach and right hand. He also wore no shirt, but he did have a long white coat similar to his uncle's and grandfather's. Sano's coat had a black trim and the kanji for taijutsu on the back. Sano grinned before answering. "The name is Sanosuke Sagara. Don't forget it, kid. I'm your uncle's best friend, even if the sourpuss refuses to admit it in public." This got Sano a death glare from said sourpuss, which only made Sano grin even more. "Like your grandfather and your uncle, I'm a member of the Roku Kyoshu. I hold the coat for taijutsu. I will be teaching you taijutsu, which includes your own family style that I was honored to be allowed to learn. I will also be in charge of you physical strength and stamina training, so I hope you're ready for me to work your tiny body to the ground," he said with his grin never leaving his face. Naruto glared at him when he called him tiny and only looked more determined to work his hardest. The next person to introduce herself was the only female in the room. She was a fairly tall and beautiful young woman with a remarkably curvaceous figure and a well-endowed chest. She looked to be in her early 20s and had waist-length raven black-colored hair tied in a high ponytail. She had peach skin and light purple-colored eyes. She was wearing long purple stockings and a very small pink kimono that did little to cover her gorgeous figure. She wore chainmail under her kimono and had a tsuba-less no dachi strapped to her back with bandages wrapped around the hilt for better grip. "My name is Shigeru Kusaka. I am the captain of the Spy and Intelligence Network. I will be in charge of stealth and weapons training," she said in a monotone voice. When it was obvious that Shigeru was not going to continue, the young man sitting in front of her turned to speak to Naruto. He was the youngest man in the room. He looked to be in his late teens. He had chin-length black hair and wore squared glasses. He wore an all-white attire, white pants, long-sleeve shirt, and mantle. The only color in his clothes was the blue cross on his shirt's collar and stripes on his sleeves. "My name is Yuri Ishida. I'm the head of the Ishida clan and captain of the Archer Division of the Guardian Corps. I'm also in charge of the defenses of the city's outer wall. I will be instructing you in tactics and strategy." The next person to introduce himself was a young man in his early 20s. He had bright green eyes and vibrant red hair with 2 long forelocks on either shoulder and the rest on his back. Naruto thought the man might be related to him since he looked like an Uzumaki, He was wearing a dark blue martial arts outfit with a red trim and a red sash tied around his waist. My name is Kurama Minamino. I am the captain of the Hunter and Tracking Division of the Guardian Corps. If anyone commits a crime against Whirlpool and somehow escapes, it's my team's job to hunt them down and return them here so they can be punished. I will be one of 2 teachers that will instruct you in ninjutsu and chakra control. The other will be this man sitting next to me, said Kurama, pointing to the shorter man sitting next to him. The man in question was around the same age as Kurama. He was easily the shortest of them all and looked to be less than 5 foot tall if you disregarded his long gravity-defying spiky black hair. He wore a white headband on his forehead and had blood-red eyes that had an angular, slightly slanted shape that gave him a sinister look to him. He was wearing a long black cloak-like jacket with a white collar. He had black pants tucked into black combat boots, and what looked like a black undershirt. He had a sword strapped to his back, and by the look on his face, he really didn't want to be here, as he seemed to be glaring at everyone in the room. When the man didn't seem to be in any hurry to speak, Kurama gave him a subtle push with his elbow, and the man finally gave in and spoke. My name is Heir. I'm the head of the Guardian Corps' assassination squad. If there's a threat to Whirlpool that can't be dealt with through peaceful means, my team and I terminate that threat. I will be helping Kurama teach you ninjutsu. Naruto was a little scared of the small man. He looked like he didn't want to help Naruto at all. Don't worry about our vertically challenged friend, my prince. He's just not a people person. Everyone in the room turned to look at the man at the end of the table, who was now the recipient of a death glare from Heir. This only made the man chuckle, which pissed Heir even more. The man was tall, light-skinned, and his gray eyes, which at the moment sparked with amusement, looked to be in his 30s, and had messy light blonde hair with strands framing the sides of his face, and in between his eyes he was wearing traditional wooden sandals and a striped white and green bucket hat that shadowed his eyes. He also wore dark green shirt and pants topped with a black coat with a black diamond pattern along its bottom half. He had a walking cane in one hand and what looked like a closed fan in the other. My name is Kasuke Urahara, but you can just call me Urahara like everyone else, my prince. I am the head of the Research and Development Division of the Guardian Corps. I will be teaching you history, science, literature, and philosophy, as well as anything else that strikes me at the time, Urahara said as he fanned himself. Naruto wasn't sure what to think about his new teachers, but he knew that he was going to work as hard as he could to make his family proud. Excellent. We will begin your training tomorrow morning, Naruto. For now you can take the rest of the day off. Naruto smiled at his grandfather and nodded before leaving the room. Genryusai and the others continued to discuss Naruto's training back in the Leaf Village. The news of Naruto's true heritage and his leaving was received with mixed feelings. The civilian population was in complete denial and refused to accept that the demon was the son of the 4th Hokage. The ninja population, at least the ones from established clans, accepted the news as the truth, and they were furious that it had been kept a secret from them. While most ninja had not been openly hostile to the boy, they didn't do anything to help him either. They now realized that they had been letting the civilians get away with tormenting the son of the 4th Hokage, and it sickened them. Once the elders had told the main house members of the deal with the Uzumaki, the Hyuga household became an awful place. The main branch members were outraged that Hayashi would willingly surrender the Byakugan to another clan. Unfortunately for them, no matter how much they complained, there was nothing anyone could do to stop the arrangement without starting a blood feud with the Uzumaki. The fact that Hinata was now the most important member of the Hyuga clan as far as the village was concerned was something that also agitated the main house members, as now they couldn't openly ridicule her or insult her for being a failure. Hana and Hayashi couldn't be any happier. Both of their children were safe from the clan elders, now that the village knew Naruto's heritage. While the village couldn't agree on the truth of that information, what they all did agree on was the important role that the Hyuga played in stopping the war with Whirlpool. All the adults also knew how important Hinata was to the village, and they now treated her with great respect whenever she went out in public. Hinata herself had not been told of her future marriage, since her parents wanted to wait until she attended the academy to tell her. Hinata was currently sitting in the Hyuga clan's private dojo waiting for her father to arrive to start her lesson. She was a little surprised when she saw both her parents walk in. "Hello, mother," father said. "Hinata, good morning, honey," said Hana. "Good morning, Hinata," said Hayashi. "Are you ready to begin your lesson, honey?" Hinata smiled at her mother. "Yes, mother." "Hinata, you will be starting the academy in 2 years. Because of recent developments, your mother will be taking over your training when I am unable to do so. You are of great importance to the clan and to the village. I'm sure you have noticed that people are nicer to you, or treat you differently than before. I know you wish to know why that is, but you We'll have to wait until your 7th birthday for us to tell you. I want you to remember that no matter what anyone might tell you, you are first and foremost our daughter and nothing will ever change that," said Hayashi. "Your father is right, and some people may treat you differently, but we will always treat you as our daughter first and as a Hyuga second. We will always love and be proud of you no matter what, so while we will ask you to train and study hard, we don't want you to feel that you always have to be the best to make us proud of you. Do you understand, honey?" "Yes, mother, thank you for believing in me, your mother, and I will always believe in you." "And now let's begin our training session." "Yes, father." In Whirlpool, Naruto excited to begin his training. He needed to learn so much, but he was determined to do his best to make his family proud. Naruto had been led to one of the palace's many private training rooms, but was surprised to see his grandfather there instead of Sano, who he was told was to begin his physical training before he began to learn from the other teachers. "Grandpa, what are you doing here?" "I thought I was going to train with Sano-sensei," asked the confused Naruto. Genryusai smiled at his grandson. "You will be, but before you do, it's time that you receive something that every Uzumaki receives once they begin their training to become warriors of Whirlpool. It is one of the Uzumaki clan's most guarded secrets, a secret that has been passed down generation to generation. Since the founding of the Uzumaki clan, Naruto sat a bit straighter once he heard that. He knew that whatever his grandfather was about to give him was very important, and he wasn't about to disappoint him. Genryusai continued, "I promised to let your uncle teach you about our Kenjutsu style, but what you need to know is that there is a reason why the Uzumaki are the only ones that can truly master the Hiten Mitsurugi style. In the past, many have tried to steal the secrets of our fighting style, but even those who have managed to discover some of our secrets have never harnessed the true strength of the Hiten Mitsurugi style." "Why is that, Grandpa?" asked Naruto. "Because Naruto, the Hiten Mitsurugi style was created by the founder of our clan to be used only by our clan, and he made sure that nobody but an Uzumaki could truly master it. I will let your uncle tell you the reason, since I promised him he would be the one to teach you of our bloodline and Kenjutsu style. What I will show you today is one of the reasons why we are the only ones that can master the Hiten Mitsurugi." "Okay, Grandpa, what do I need to do first?" asked an eager Naruto. "Oh, that's easy, Naruto, you just need to take off your clothes," said Genryusai. "What?" yelled Naruto as he clutched his training kimono as if it was going to disappear. All of a sudden Genryusai chuckled, already expecting this reaction from the young blonde. "This is the reason why," he said, rolling back one of his sleeves and focusing chakra into his arm. Naruto watched as several markings began to appear on his grandfather's arm and began to glow brightly. Naruto didn't know what they meant, but he knew they had to be seals since he was told his family was famous for being seal masters. "Wow, what are those, Grandpa? They're so cool looking. Am I going to get that? Will I look that cool too?" Naruto started to rapidly shoot questions off. Genryusai stopped the flow of chakra to his arm, letting the seals fade away. "Those, Naruto, are the Uzumaki clan's gravity seals." "Gravity seals, what do they do?" asked Naruto. "They act much like weights in the way that they add resistance to help strengthen your body, except that unlike weights which only add resistance to certain parts of your body, the gravity seals distribute the added resistance evenly throughout your entire body. The seals never need to be replaced, and you can control the resistance they add to your body at will without needing to waste time to remove any equipment from yourself." "That's so cool. So does everybody have them?" "No, Naruto, the only person outside of me and your uncle that has these is Sano, and that is because your uncle considers him a brother in all but blood, even if he rarely shows it." "Yes, Sano-sensei really likes to make Uncle Kenshin mad," said Naruto. "Yes, he sure does." "Alright, Naruto, let's begin. It's going to take a while to finish, and we don't want to waste more time than we have to." "Okay, Grandpa," said Naruto, as he began to take off his kimono. Several hours later, Naruto and his grandfather exited the room. Naruto was obviously struggling as he walked. "It will take a few days before your body adapts to the seals. It looks like your large chakra reserves are adding more chakra to the seals than I expected. We will have to cancel your physical training for the next few days. You will instead begin your academic training, and once the seals are no longer bothering you, we will resume the full training regimen." "I guess you're right, Grandpa. I am very tired," answered Naruto. "I will tell Uryu to expect you in an hour and Urahara to expect you after lunch. I will begin to teach you calligraphy and sealing basics after dinner." "Okay, Grandpa, I'll see you later," said Naruto as he stumbled away, still finding it difficult to walk with the new seals in place. His two samurai guards walked next to him to make sure the young prince didn't hurt himself by falling down. Naruto walked into Uryu's office to see him waiting for him at his desk. "You're here, Naruto. How are you feeling? I was told that the application of gravity seals can be very taxing on your body." "I'm fine, Uryu-sensei. I'm still getting used to the seals, but I'm doing better now," answered Naruto. "Great, come here so we can begin," Uryu said, leading Naruto to a small table with two chairs facing each other. Once they took their seats, Naruto asked, "So what kind of training are we going to do today, Sensei?" "We are going to play a game," answered Uryu. Naruto was confused. "I thought you were going to train me in strategy 1am, and we will Begin by playing a game. We will study more advanced forms later. For now we will start with games that will help you develop your mind. What kind of games will we play? Asked Naruto. We will be playing shogi, go and chess among others to help you work on your strategy. Later on we will read and study books and scrolls. For now we play Uryu and Naruto. Spend the next few hours with Naruto learning the rules of shogi and playing a few games together. Naruto found it difficult at first, and even though he lost every game he did start to get why these games would help him in developing strategic skills. Uryu had been impressed with Naruto's ability to grasp the concept of the game. He told Naruto that he had a very unpredictable mind and that it would help him in the future when developing stratagems against his enemies. Naruto's next lesson was with Urahara. Urahara was supposed to start with a history lesson on the 5 great nations, but seeing that Naruto didn't know how to read or write, Urahara started teaching Naruto the alphabet and number system. This would mean his academic learning would take a little longer, but Urahara didn't mind since he enjoyed teaching the young prince. Naruto obviously had a sharp mind and quickly picked things up. The hard part was keeping him focused, as he tended to get bored easily and lose interest. Urahara soon learned that threatening to ask Megumi to give Naruto a shot if he kept falling asleep during a lesson worked marvelously. Urahara didn't care how Naruto learned his lessons. Fear of punishment worked just as well as eagerness for knowledge as far as he was concerned. How about this one, Grandpa? Asked Naruto as he held up his latest attempt at calligraphy work his grandfather was teaching him. That's better, Naruto. Now try again. This time try to write it more cleanly, and you're still pressing the brush too much. Let it glide on the paper and your work will come out much better. But I've done it like 100 times and they all look the same to me. Why, Naruto? Naruto, sealing is a very complex art. You won't learn it in a day or two. I have been training in sealing for decades. I am considered the best seal master in the world, and even I learn new things about sealing all the time, said Genryusai. Really? Asked the disbelieving Naruto. Yes, Naruto, you see, sealing is like no other ninja art. With sealing you're only as limited as your imagination. That is why sealing is so feared in battle. With sealing you can do just about anything your mind can conjure. Now it's not an easy process by any means. Even the tiniest mistakes can have horrific results. That is why we practice and practice. Even I practice every day so my skills stay sharp. You mustn't be dissuaded from it so easily. Naruto, you're an Uzumaki. After all, sealing is in your blood. Now go ahead and try it again. If you do it perfectly by the end of our lesson, I will let you have as much ramen as you can eat tomorrow. Okay, alright, I'll have it down for sure, Grandpa. Believe it, yelled Naruto as he returned to his work with renewed vigor. Genryusai could only chuckle at how much like his mother Naruto was. He may look like his father on the outside, but on the inside he was all Kushina, all Uzumaki. 3 months had passed since Naruto's arrival in Whirlpool, and his family was very proud. The little blonde boy breathed new life into the palace and its inhabitants with his ever-happy attitude and seemingly endless energy. He was kind and hard-working child, and since he grew up never having anything, he was very appreciative of everything he had. Now the news that trade was to be re-established with Fire Country, and by connection the Leaf Village, had been received with mixed reactions by the people of Whirlpool, as Kenshin had suspected. The news of how the new Prince of Whirlpool had been treated by the Leaf spread through a Dindril like a wildfire. The vast majority of the military and civilians were outraged, and word quickly spread to all of Whirlpool's allies, who in turn expressed their disapproval toward the Leaf Village by sending most of their business elsewhere. That not only hurt the Leaf financially but politically, as many nations put pressure on the Fire Daimyo to keep a tighter leash on the village. The only thing that seems to go in the Leaf Village's favor was that with trade with Whirlpool re-established, the economy of Fire Country was on the rise, and it meant the Leaf Village was not in as bad position as it could have been otherwise. Back in Whirlpool, a small blonde boy was running for his life through the halls of the people's palace. When he saw 2 members of the Guardian Corps standing guard, he made a beeline towards them. Please, you have Tio, help me, she is treating Tio, kill me, he screamed frantically at them. Before either of the guards could respond to the blonde boy, he disappeared in a yellow blur. Just as before, a pair of shuriken embedded themselves into the ground the boy had just occupied a second ago. Naruto was running for all he was worth from the evil monster that was chasing him. Unfortunately for Naruto, the People's Palace was a maze of halls and rooms that you could easily get lost in if you didn't know where you were going. Naruto, in his haste to get away, did not pay attention and ran into a hall that was a dead end. No, I have to get away. Naruto turned to run back the way he came, only to have a menacing shadow appear around the corner. The ear-splitting scream was heard through the entire place, making several certain people laugh quite heartily. In his office, Genryusai heard the terrified scream and looked up from his paperwork. That was Naruto. It must be Tuesday already, he said before he decided to check how Naruto's training was going. Genryusai didn't have a hard time finding Naruto. All he had to do was follow the screams. Sure enough, it was Tuesday as he saw Shigeru throwing shurikens at Naruto, who was desperately trying to dodge them. Genryusai walked up to Shigeru and asked, Shigeru-chan, how is Naruto's training? Going good, she said in a monotone voice without looking at him or stopping what she was doing. Naruto, who saw his grandfather, yelled at him for help. Grandpa, please help me, she's crazy. Genryusai turned back to Shigeru and asked, what kind of training are you working on right now? Exactly dodging, was her answer as she continued to launch shurikens at Naruto. I see, carry on, said Genryusai as he turned and left to continue his paperwork, but not missing Naruto's indignant yell of what. Genryusai only chuckled as he left. He was sure that Shigeru wouldn't hurt Naruto. Well, not too much anyway. Later that day, Naruto found himself in Megumi's office getting his injuries looked at. Even though Shigeru only gave him minor cuts and those were mostly healed by the fox by the time he got there, Megumi always liked to make sure Naruto was fully recovered after any injury. I'm telling you, Megumi-sensei, Shigeru-sensei is going to kill me one of these days if she keeps throwing sharp weapons at me. Come now, Naruto. I'm sure she's not that bad after all. You haven't actually gotten seriously hurt. You only have some small cuts and those are almost done healing. Naruto had to agree. As much as Shigeru's training freaked him out, she never actually hurt him. Well, it still hurts a lot, he grumbled. Well, you're fine now, get yourself something to eat and rest before your next training session. Okay, by the way, who is your next session with? Asked Megumi. I have ninjutsu training with Kurama sensei, he said. That hi sensei will be there this time, but he never shows up though. Well, maybe he'll show up this time. Naruto shrugged. I guess I'll see you later, Megumi-sensei, Naruto said as he waved goodbye and left to get something to eat. Yuck, this is impossible, whined Naruto as he tried to focus his chakra and hold a pair of leaves to his hands. Calm down, Naruto. I know you're getting frustrated, but you're doing great, said Kurama. But it's been 3 months and I can't get the leaves to stick for more than a few seconds, argued Naruto. I told you that's only because you have so much more chakra than most people. You're actually doing better than I thought you would be. Just relax and remember what I have told you about chakra. Chakra is a combination of both spiritual and physical energy. To be in control of your chakra, you must be in control of both your mind and body, replied Naruto. Exactly so, calm your mind and try it again. Yes, Kurama-sensei. As Naruto continued his exercise, Kurama turned to look behind him and spoke. Are you going to stay there all day, or are you going to actually help since you actually showed up coming from behind a tree? I answered him. I don't see why you and the daimyo insist on me being here. The boy had no chakra control, so you can't really think I can teach him anything. He has little control because of the fox. He is very sharp and works very hard too. If he didn't have the fox, he would certainly have amazing chakra control. It's only been 3 months, and he can already do what even some of the kids in the ninja academies can. I still think you're wasting your time. He has too much chakra. Having him try to use such a small amount is like trying to pick a grain of sand from a beach. You should focus on exercises that use more chakra to help him get better control, answered Hai in an irritated tone. That could work. Okay, I will get him started on tree climbing next time. Whatever, I'm leaving. Don't ask me to come until he can actually learn some jutsu, said Hai. I can't promise that. After all, you actually did help today, said Kurama. That pissed Hai off because he was right. Why didn't he just keep his mouth shut? Now they were going to make him show up more. Hai left the training area still cursing his bad luck. Time skip. Naruto found himself on his hands and knees panting. Even though he was exhausted, he was wearing a face-splitting grin. It was a situation that he often found himself in. Over the past year and a half, Naruto himself had changed a lot. Since coming to Whirlpool, he was no longer the malnourished, half-starved, and illiterate 5-year-old that his family found in the Leaf Village. With a proper diet, exercise, and excellent teachers, Naruto had proven that he inherited his father's brilliant mind. In fewer than 2 years, he was already at a level well above any 5th-year academy student, perhaps even some of the newer genin as well. It had not all been work for Naruto. Either no, he had a very happy life with his family. 2, he had his first real birthday party, which actually turned out more like a city-wide festival since the entire city celebrated it with Naruto and his family. Naruto couldn't remember ever being this happy before. He loved his family, his teachers, and his new home. That's enough for today, Naruto. Go get some rest before lunch. But I can keep going, Sano-sensei, whined Naruto. Sure you can, kid, but I'm not going to get chewed out by Megumi again for letting you get chakra exhaustion because we practiced too long. I swear I thought I was going to lose my hearing from all that yelling. Naruto scratched the back of his head and smiled. Yeah, I got yelled at too. Okay, I'll go get ready for lunch. I have kenjutsu training with Uncle Kenshin this afternoon. Anyway, tell that sourpuss not to forget we have to go out drinking tomorrow night, said Sano. Naruto stopped walking and turned around. You really should stop trying to get my uncle to meet women. Every time you guys go on one of your nights out, he spends the next week even grumpier than usual. and I end up getting the worst of that situation during our sparring sessions. At least they're still wooden swords, right? Asked Sano with a grin. Yes, grumbled Naruto. I keep telling him I'm ready for a real katana, but he won't budge. I'm sure he's got his reasons. Just give him some time, kid. It's not like you need to carry a sword around at your age anyway. Naruto sighed. I guess I'll see you later, Sano-sensei, Naruto said as turned and ran out of the training ground. At another part of the People's Palace, the other two members of the Uzumaki clan were having an important meeting. Are you sure it's time for that, father? Asked Kenshin. Yes, Hinata-chan will have her 7th birthday in 2 months. She will start the ninja academy in 4 months. I don't think we can afford to wait to tell him any longer, said Genryusai. Will you require him to attend her birthday? You know he won't like going back there even if it's for a day or two, said Kenshin, with a scowl on his face. I don't believe that would be a good idea. I have invited Hana-chan and her family for a visit, so the children can meet each other. They will be here the week after Hinata's birthday, and they will spend a few weeks here before they return to the Leaf Village so Hinata can start the academy. So they will be here for Naruto's birthday celebration. Well, I suppose we can only hope for the best then. If you excuse me, I have to prepare for Naruto's lesson. Yes, today you start teaching him about our bloodline, right? Yes, I think his chakra control is good enough that we can start. I think he is ready, said Kenshin. Very well, son, make sure to bring him here once your training is finished so we can tell him about the arrangement with the Hyuga. Yes, father. Without another word, Kenshin left the room to go and wait for Naruto and exited. Naruto arrived at the training ground as uncle had promised. They were going to start some special training today. Naruto was really hoping that he was finally going to get a real katana. He was tired of only practicing with wooden training swords. When Naruto arrived at the clearing, he saw his uncle standing in the center of it. Much to his frustration, Naruto also noticed that his uncle had brought the usual practice swords. Naruto opened his mouth to start complaining about it when he was suddenly attacked. Seemingly out of nowhere, Naruto saw a pair of glowing white chains with spiked ends shooting at him. Only because of his rigorous training was Naruto able to dodge them. The chains, however, seemed to have a mind of their own. As they continued to attack him, the chains would strike at him like snakes, trying to stab him with the sharp points at their ends. After some close calls that managed to give Naruto to some shallow cuts, he'd had enough. Naruto started going through some well-practiced hand signs and yelled water-style tidal shield jutsu. Just as the chains were about to impale him, a circular shield made of water materialized itself in front of Naruto, blocking their relentless attack. Once he was sure the attack was over, Naruto released the jutsu, breathing heavily with the effort. What the hell was that? He screamed at his uncle, who still had not moved from the spot he saw him when Naruto arrived. That was a secret jutsu that only an Uzumaki can perform. It is a jutsu that can only be used with our bloodline, said Kenshin with a calm voice. A grin rapidly spread across Naruto's face. He finally realized that the special training his uncle had been talking about was training in his clan's bloodline. So you're finally going to tell me about our bloodline? Yes, but before I begin, why don't you tell me what you know about bloodlines in general? Naruto walked up to his uncle and then took a seat on the ground. Before he spoke, well, Urahara-sensei told me about them a while ago. He said there were several types of bloodlines, but there are 3 main types. There are Dojutsu, like the Sharingan that the Uchiha clan has, or the Byakugan that the Hyuga clan has. Both clans are from the Leaf Village, he said with obvious dislike. When he said Leaf Dojutsu or Ocular Jutsu, that enhances the user's eyesight. Each one has different capabilities that are unique to each other. Kenshin nodded his head. That's correct. And next, the next type is the elemental manipulation bloodlines. They are the most common because many clans have them. Some of the best known are the wood-using Senju clan from the Leaf Village, but there are others like the ice users of Water Country or the coal and lava users of Earth Country. I also heard that Wind Country has people that can use glass as a weapon. Very good, Naruto. And what is the last? The last type are the body manipulation bloodlines. Those are the bloodlines that enhances or manipulate your body in some way or another. Water Country has several, like the Kagaya clan that can manipulate their bones. Earth Country has a clan that can turn their skin into granite, and I heard that Lightning Country has a clan that can transform into dragon-like creatures. That's correct. I see that Urahara has been teaching you well. So which of the 3 types do we have? Asked Naruto excitedly. Neither of them, answered Kenshin. Naruto face faulted before he stood up and yelled, what do you mean we don't have either of them? Our bloodline is unique, Naruto, and it doesn't fit in any of those categories, answered Kenshin. Naruto seemed to relax. Okay, so what exactly is our bloodline and what does it do? Our bloodline is chakra based, but it isn't an elemental bloodline. You see, the Uzumaki clan has very special chakra. Our chakra is different, more potent. than everyone else's chakra. This gives us unique abilities. Our bloodline makes our bodies stronger and more resilient than others. It gives us large chakra reserves and highly increased stamina. Our bloodline also increases our longevity and our healing ability. It's one of the reasons why we can use gravity seals. While any normal person would never be able to, their bodies are not as strong as ours. That's why nobody but an Uzumaki can truly master the Hiten Mitsurugi style, because it places too much stress on one's body. Even if they can imitate the moves, their bodies can't handle the strain. That's correct, Naruto. We will go into that later on. The other part of our bloodline is that because our chakra is so potent, we can focus it to create weapons like the chains you saw when you got here. Yeah, those were pretty cool. Those are a special jutsu that will be a priority for you to learn, because it will help you control that. Naruto placed a hand over his stomach. He had been told of his burden. Shortly after his birthday, Naruto now knew why the people of the Leaf Village hated him. At first he was not sure how to feel. He hated that it was him that was forced to be the vessel of the fox, but at the same time he knew that as an Uzumaki he was really the only choice. He didn't hate his father for placing the fox inside of him, but he certainly didn't idolize him like he did when he was in the village. Naruto had been told that his mother had been the previous host and that she never had a problem controlling the fox. Naruto swore that like his mother he would not let the fox control him. Naruto would grow strong on his own and not rely on the Nine Tails' power. I understand, uncle. I will do my best, said Naruto with determination. Then let's get started, said Kenshin, and for the next few hours Kenshin explained everything he could about the Uzumaki bloodline and began to teach Naruto ways to start to focus and control his chakra so that it could be used in Uzumaki-style ninjutsu later. That night Naruto found himself in a meeting with his grandfather and uncle. Naruto knew it was something important because both had serious looks on their faces. Well, his uncle always had a serious look on his face, but for his grandfather it was very uncommon. Naruto, I have asked you here today to tell you something very important not only for the Uzumaki clan but for all of Whirlpool, said Genryusai in a commanding regal tone. Naruto knew for sure this was something important. His grandfather was speaking to him in the tone of voice he would use with visiting dignitaries or nobles that would come to see him. As you know, you will one day be the daimyo of Whirlpool, and it will be your duty to guard and protect the people of our country. Yes, grandfather, answered Naruto, and you know that as the leaders of our people sometimes we must make sacrifices for the good of those people. Naruto was not sure where his grandfather was going with this, but he had a bad feeling. Yes, grandfather, sometimes we must do what is necessary for the good of the people even if you don't like what you have to do for it, answered Naruto. As Genryusai looked into his grandson's eyes, he could only hope that he would one day find happiness with Hinata. The last thing Genryusai would want for Naruto would be to have him trapped in a loveless marriage. It was now too late to change his mind. He had given his word that Naruto would marry Hinata, as his daughter would have wanted, and an Uzumaki always keeps his word or dies trying. Then there is something I have to tell you, Naruto, said Genryusai in a serious voice. Naruto was very worried now. If the tone of voice his grandfather was anything to go by, then whatever he was going to tell him was going to be bad news. Naruto had only seen his grandfather talk to him like this once when his grandfather told him about the nine-tailed fox. Naruto could only gather his courage and ask the question, what do you have to tell me? Grandfather asked Naruto in a worried tone. Genryusai took a deep breath and closed his eyes, making a final silent prayer that this would not ruin his grandson's life. Genryusai opened his eyes and looked directly into Naruto's. Before your mother died, she was best friends with her former teammate Hana Hyuga. Do you remember? I told you about her. Seeing Naruto nod, Genryusai continued, Kushina and Hana were more like sisters, and even I looked at Hana as a second daughter. They were friends since they were children. After all, Naruto was not sure why they were talking about this, but answered, I have seen her in some of my mother's old photos. Anyone I have asked has told me Hana Hyuga is a very kind and caring person. Yes, she is a very kind person. Your mother loved her very much, so much that when she found out that Hana was pregnant with her first child, your mother was determined to get pregnant herself. Your father agreed as he too wanted to start a family, and a month later she was pregnant with you. Naruto blinked in surprise. He had not heard of that. Oh wow, I had no idea, said Naruto. Then Kenshin decided to put in his 2 cents. When my sister and Hana were both pregnant, they agreed to have each other as the godmother to the other's child. That makes Hana Hyuga your godmother, and Kushina would have been godmother to Hana's daughter Hinata. I see, said Naruto, still not sure where this was going. And when your parents found out that Hana and her husband were having a girl while they were having a boy, they made a very important decision, a decision involving you. Naruto felt his chest grow tighter, dreading what his grandfather would say. Your parents wanted to unite both families by arranging a marriage between yourself and Hana's daughter Hinata, said Genryusai, and waited for Naruto's reaction. Naruto could only sit there in stunned silence. His parents had placed him in an arranged marriage. Sure, he had heard of them from Urahara. He knew that it was not uncommon for noble families to practice them, but he couldn't believe that his parents had actually placed him in one, and now he was expected to marry someone that he has never met. Naruto couldn't help but feel betrayed by his parents. One of the things he loved the most about his parents was that they obviously loved each other very much. You can see it in any of the pictures of them together. You could feel the love they had for each other. Naruto wanted that for himself in the future. He wanted to be able to look at his wife the way his father looked at his mom, and have his wife look at him like his mother looked at his father, but now that would probably never happen. I see. Naruto could feel his eyes start to moisten. I understand, grandfather, and I will perform my duty to the clan if that is all. May I be excused? Naruto asked as it was getting hard to use his voice. The look of sadness in his grandson's usually happy face was painful for Genryusai to see. He knew Naruto would need time to sort out his feelings. Yes, you may. Naruto Hinata and her family will be joining us in 2 months. They will be here so that the two of you can begin to know each other. Not feeling that he would be able to use his voice, Naruto gave his grandfather a nod before leaving to go to his room. Give him some time, father. He will be sad for a while, but he'll be back to his old self. Before you know it, he is my sister's son. After all, he has her strength in him, said Kenshin. I hope you're right, son. I don't like to see him like this. All we can do is try to help him in any way we can. Yes, I suppose that is all we can do for now, said Genryusai, knowing that they would have to wait 2 months to see how Naruto and Hinata would interact with each other. He only hoped that their first meeting would go well. Back in the Leaf Village, the next 2 months flew by, and the day of Hinata's 7th birthday had arrived. It was a big day for the Hyuga clan. Over the last 2 years, things had begun to change for the clan, many things for the better. Hayashi, knowing that the elders had to tread carefully around him because of his alliance with the Uzumaki, had steadily been pushing for the unification between the main house of the Hyuga and the branch house. While it was slow going, it was still progressing, and Hayashi had the full support of the branch house, though his nephew still looked at the main house with contempt. Hinata had also changed in the last 2 years. While she was still a little shy around people she didn't know well, she was not the scared child that would cling to her mother's leg every time they left the compound. Hinata was more cheerful and confident than before, and was advancing in her study of the gentle fist style. While she was still disliked by the elders and most of the main house, Hinata was loved by the entire branch house. Hinata was very excited for her birthday. She loved spending time with all of her family. This year was more exciting because her parents were going to tell her some important news. The party itself was a very formal event. Many of the clan heads and their children stopped by. Hinata knew some of the children but was not really friends with them since she didn't really leave the compound very much. That was going to change this year because she was finally old enough to join the academy this year. It would start in 2 months, and some of the children she had met would be in her year. Hinata enjoyed talking, playing, and spending time with kids her own age. She enjoyed her party very much this year. It was after the guests had left that she was asked to meet her parents in the council room. When Hinata arrived, she was met by her parents, who were sitting in the middle of the room with what looked like a present in front of them. Hinata, please sit. There is something of great importance that we need to speak to you about, said Hayashi as he motioned her to sit in front of them. Yes, father, she said as she took a seat. First of all, honey, we have one last present for you, said Hana as she pushed the beautifully wrapped box closer to Hinata. As Hinata carefully opened the box, she let out a small gasp. Inside the box, having been carefully packed, was a beautiful blue kimono, the color of clear ocean water. It was obviously extremely expensive. It was pure silk and had small whirlpools all over, and a darker blue on the left shoulder. It had the Hyuga clan crest, while on the right it had the red swirl that the ninja of the Leaf Village wore. Hinata lightly touched the fabric and noticed just how incredibly soft it was. This was the most beautiful kimono she had ever seen and couldn't wait for a chance to wear it. It's gorgeous, Hinata said as she continued to stroke the fabric. It's made from ember silk. Yes, I play. Wow. Ember silk comes from the ember spider. It's a vicious spider that grows nearly 5 feet tall and is very dangerous. They are only found in a few small islands near Demon Country because of how dangerous it is to obtain and how beautiful the silk is. Ember silk is extremely expensive. That kimono is more than likely worth a fortune, said Hana, having seen Kushina in a beautiful kimono made from ember silk for her wedding. You didn't need to get this for me then, even though it is beautiful, said Hinata, your mother and I did not get this for you, Hinata. It was a present for you on the behalf of someone that you haven't met yet, said Hayashi. But why would someone I have never met send me something so expensive, asked Hinata, confused. Hayashi and Hana looked at each other, and once Hayashi got a nod from Hana as a final confirmation, he began to explain. Hinata, you are my eldest daughter and your mother, and I both love you more than you can possibly imagine. You have a gentle, kind, and loving heart, and we love you for it. However, there are many within our clan that mistake your kindness for Weakness. The clan elders among those that feel this way along with the majority of the main house of our clan. Hinata was a smart child. She knew that the main house members didn't like her and would often glare at her when they thought no one was looking. The elders often didn't bother to hide the glares from her. Because of this, after your sister was born 2 years ago, the elders demanded that you be removed as clan heir and be placed in the branch house. Hinata gasped. She knew that the elders didn't like her, but she would have never thought it would be this bad. While they don't actually have the authority to force me to do it, they had enough support within the clan at the time to rip our family apart. It could have ended in a civil war within our clan. Your mother and I could not let that happen, but neither could we just let them place the seal on you. Hinata visibly shuddered at the thought of having that vile creation placed on her forehead. That is when your mother came up with a plan to save both you and our clan. You see, before you were born, your mother was best friends with the wife of the 4th Hokage. Hinata smiled at that. Her mother often spoke of Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Yes, I know, mother, and I visited Whirlpool country 2 years ago, said Hinata. You visited Whirlpool for a very important reason. Hinata, your mother loved her friends so much that when they found out that they were both pregnant, your mother with you a girl and Kushina with a boy, we made a choice for the good of the clan. Hinata felt her chest tighten as if in warning that something bad was coming. We reached an agreement for a betrothal contract between yourself and the son of the 4th Hokage, Heir, she said, knowing how much this would hurt his daughter. What was all Hinata was able to say as she was in shock of what she had just heard. It was originally to unite the Hyuga and the Namikaze clans, but the day that their child was born was the day that the 9-tailed fox attacked the village. As you know, both the 4th Hokage and his wife died that day. The 3rd Hokage also announced to the village that their son had died at childbirth, but that was a lie, Hayashi said, cutting Hinata off. Your mother and her sensei along with 2 others were there when the child was born, but the Hokage forbid us telling anyone. Whoever did would be killed for treason. Why would he do that, asked Hinata. I don't know, but I think it was in a misguided attempt to keep a promise to the 4th, no matter the reason. It turned out to be a huge mistake. Your mother and I tried to do what we could for the boy, even tried to adopt him into our clan. However, the Hokage and the village council blocked us at every turn. When the elders tried to force the seal on you, we knew we had no other choice than to go against the Hokage to save the both of you. What do you mean to save the both of us, father, asked Hinata. Because of a certain condition, the 4th son was mistreated and scorned by most of the village. He needed saving just as much as you. The only way to save both of you was to activate the betrothal contract, but to do that we needed the child's true identity to be known. The only way to do that without being charged with treason by the Hokage was to secretly tell his mother's family that he was alive. That's why we went to Whirlpool country, to tell his family, Hinata said, finally knowing why she was told to never mention that trip to anyone. Yes, and your mother's plan worked. The Uzumaki clan agreed to protect you by activating the contract. That is the reason why you were not placed in the branch house. That unfortunately also means that you will not be head of the clan, since you will be marrying the future daimyo of Whirlpool country. Hinata felt tears begin to pool in her eyes. Her vision started to get blurry. Not only would she never be able to fulfill her dream of uniting her family, but she would be forced to marry someone she had never met. What if the Uzumaki didn't like her? What if they hated her like the main house did? And Whirlpool was far away. She would be many days travel away from her family. Hinata could not help herself. She ran out of the council room and rushed to her own Hana maid as though to follow, but Hayashi stopped her. Let her be. She needs some time to herself right now. There's nothing you can say that will make this look like it's not the end of the world. Let her be, and tomorrow when she calms down you can explain to her that we did this for her own good and because we love her, okay? It just breaks my heart to see her so sad, Hana said. I know, but this is many times better than the alternative. Hayashi and Hana left the meeting room without another word that night in the Hyuga compound. If you listen very carefully, you would be able to hear the quiet sobs coming from the room of a heartbroken little girl. Time skips several days after Hinata's birthday. A delegation from the Hyuga clan with a select few representatives for the Leaf included made their way to Whirlpool country. While Hinata's parents had done their best to help Hinata understand that this was what was best for her and that everything would work out for the best, the look of sadness hadn't left her face. Hinata had accepted her fate. She knew that there was nothing she could do about it now. Matter what her parents said, Hinata knew that her life was no longer her own. She would be expected to marry the person chosen for her, no matter how she felt about it. She also knew that most noble families did not allow its members to practice the ninja arts. Luckily, the Uzumaki are a ninja clan themselves, and that would not be a problem for her. At least Hinata's second arrival to Luka Port was much different than the first time. While last time they did their best to not bring attention to themselves. This time they were met by a full samurai squad to escort them to aid Hinata, and her mother had to act like this was Hinata's first time visiting Whirlpool, since their first visit was still off the record. As the last of the Leaf members arrived on the dock, the leader of the samurai stepped forward to speak to them. Welcome to Whirlpool. I am Susuke Saber, captain of Squad 16, of the Infantry Division of the Guardian Corps. My squad is charged with escorting you to the People's Palace. If you follow us, we will lead you to the carriages that you will be traveling to the city. And once everyone was settled into the carriages, the samurai escorted them from Luka Port to the bridge. The massive bridge was still breathtaking, and Hinata still found the giant whirlpools sounding the island to be an impressive sight. They just looked terrifyingly powerful. Many of the Leaf members who had never been to Whirlpool were just as amazed as she had been when she first came. Once the group made it past the gates and into the city, Hinata once again realized just how different this place was from the Leaf village. Adindral was likely the largest city in the world, certainly the largest city Hinata had ever heard of. She noticed that the people of the city seemed to be preparing for some sort of celebration. People were putting up decorations, many with the Uzumaki crest on them. Plazas were being set up with stands for food and games, and everyone seems to be happy as they worked with smiles on their faces. Excuse me, Captain Sagura, is there some kind of festival that the city is getting ready for? Asked Hinata. No, Lady Hinata, the people are getting ready for Naruto-sama's birthday celebration. His birthday is tomorrow, and the people will celebrate it all day long and well into the night as well. This year will be even bigger than last year. By the looks of it, I see. Have you met him? Naruto Uzumaki. I have not actually met him, only seen him in passing, because he is so important to this country's future. He is kept near his family and his teachers. Oh, so you don't know what he's like then? Hinata didn't know much about the boy she would eventually marry. She only knew that he was the son of the 4th Hokage and her mother's ex-teammate. As I said, I have not actually met him myself, but I do know that you need not worry. Naruto-sama is a very kind and intelligent young man. He is also very hard worker. He is trained by some of the best captains in the Guardian Corps and never complains about how much work they make him do. I believe he will make a great leader someday. Perhaps once you get to know him you will see that as well. Hinata spent the rest of the ride to the palace quietly thinking about what the captain said. Perhaps if she was lucky her future husband would not be too bad. She knew she had to make the best of it, not only because she had no other choice, but because it was expected of her by her clan and the whole Leaf village as well. Once the group arrived at the People's Palace, they were escorted to their rooms. After resting and having time to freshen up and change into more formal clothing, they were led to the throne room. Hinata and the rest of the Hyuga were wearing traditional Hyuga robes, while the Leaf Jonin representing the Hokage wore their standard uniform. As the door opened, Hinata's heart started to beat faster. It was time. The next meeting was likely the most important meeting of her life. All she could hope for was that it would go well. Naruto had not been his usual happy self over the last 2 months. Since being told about the arranged marriage, he had been depressed for weeks, and only recently had he began to act more like himself. Naruto had spoken to all of his teachers and asked many questions. While he didn't like his situation, he knew it was his duty to his people, and it helped a little knowing that his mother wanted this for him. Naruto's teachers helped by listening and advising Naruto in what little ways they could. Naruto hoped that the girl wouldn't be one of those really stuck-up nobles he had come to hate. At least this Hinata girl is from a ninja clan and would relate to him better than most girls his age. Naruto honestly didn't have any friends his own age. Naruto loved his family and his teachers, but he did feel like he was missing out on something because of who he was. Most kids around his age would not even look him in the eyes. Kids in the palace were either servants or academy students for the Guardian Corps and would not really talk to him unless spoken to. Naruto knew they didn't do it to be mean, they were just intimidated because he was an Uzumaki. After several failed attempts at making friends his age, Naruto had given up. Maybe he would have better luck with Hinata. After all, if they were going to be married one day, he might as well try and be friends with her. At least Naruto sat to his grandfather's left wearing a royal dark blue kimono that had several intricate designs on it. Naruto hated wearing all this formal stuff but knew he had no choice. His grandfather was in the middle as he sat on the Uzumaki throne, and his uncle was standing next to him. Both were wearing similar kimonos to the one Naruto was wearing. Naruto sat straighter when he heard his grandfather tell a servant to let the group from the Leaf Village, and it was time to meet the person he would share his future with. Naruto looked on as several people were escorted into the throne room. There were 3 men that were defiantly ninja of high rank, judging by appearances. One of them had black hair tied in the shape of a pineapple. He had a scar on his face as well as a lazy look to him. His appearance didn't fool Naruto. This guy was paying close attention to everyone and everything in the room. The second man had black hair and was wearing a coat that covered the bottom part of his face. He was also wearing sunglasses that Naruto thought were pretty cool. This man had a very stoic look to him. Naruto could tell this man knew how to keep cool in stressful situations. The third man had black hair and a beard, and even if the man tried to hide it, Naruto and likely everyone in the room could still smell the scent of tobacco coming off of him. He was wearing a sash that Naruto recognized as unworn by the elite guardians of the fire daimyo, so Naruto knew this guy had to be pretty strong. To their left were two much older looking people, a man and a woman, both wearing expensive kimonos similar to the ones that the dignitaries that regularly visit Whirlpool. They both had an arrogant feel to them, like they felt they were very important people or something. Naruto didn't pay much attention to them at all. To the far right there was a larger group of people. They were all wearing regal-looking white robes. They all had long black hair and clear pupil-less eyes. The Byakugan of the Hyuga clan. There were 4 men, protectively flanking the 5 people in the center. In the center there was a much older man, the only one who had mostly white hair. He also had an "I'm better than anyone" kind of attitude to him. Next to him was a stern-looking man who Naruto assumed was the head of the Hyuga clan, Hayashi Hyuga. If Naruto remembered correctly, standing next to Hayashi was his wife Hana Hyuga. She was a very beautiful woman. Hana had long silky dark blue hair, and her Byakugan had a more lavender tint to them than the usual colorless one that the other Hyuga had. She was giving Naruto a loving smile that he could tell she honestly meant. Hana had a very cute little girl in her arms that seemed to be about 2 years old. Hanabi Hyuga, the younger of the 2 Hyuga heirs, it was the final member of the group that drew Naruto's attention. She was about his age and wore the same white robes as the other Hyuga. She had short hair the same dark blue color as her mother, as well as the same lavender tint. In her Byakugan eyes she had a nervous look on her face that Naruto understood, and Naruto could see the hint of a blush on her cheek. She's very pretty, thought Naruto as he felt an unfamiliar heat on his face. It was as Naruto looked at the person he was expected to one day call a wife that she looked his way, and their eyes met. Hinata had a difficult time trying to keep calm as her family made their way into the throne room. She kept her eyes down as much as possible, not daring to look up. It was not until they were standing in front of the Uzumaki family that Hinata gathered her courage and looked up. She looked up and directly into the brightest pair of blue eyes she ever seen. They were deeper than the ocean. The boy also had golden blonde hair that was as bright as the shining sun. Hinata also noticed he had these cute whisker-like markings on his cheeks. Hinata couldn't help the full-blown blush that was on her face at that moment. He's cute, thought Hinata as she looked away, missing the slight blush that appeared on Naruto's cheeks. Genryusai looked at every one of the Leaf members before speaking. Welcome all of you to Whirlpool. I hope your trip was a pleasant one. Hayashi stepped forward and spoke. We thank you for your hospitality, Daimyo-sama. Our trip was indeed a pleasant one. Excellent. I am glad the Hyuga clan was able to accept my invitation. However, I see there are others I did not expect as well, Genryusai said as he glanced at the other members of the Leaf Village. Before Hayashi could continue, Hamura Midokado stepped next to him and spoke. We are here to represent the council in this meeting. It is after all of great importance to the entire village. Troublesome Shikaku Nara stepped forward to speak. We are here to represent the Hokage in this meeting and to make sure that some people, he said, glaring at the village elders, don't cause an incident between our village and Whirlpool. The last one to step forward was Asuma Sarutobi. Asuma bowed to the daimyo and said, I'm Asuma Sarutobi. I'm here to represent both the Hokage and the Fire Lord. Very well, I believe we will have no problem accommodating extra guests. Genryusai then turned to the girl that one day would be queen of Whirlpool. He noticed Hinata shooting nervous glances at Naruto with a blush on her face. Genryusai smirked. Maybe this won't end too badly. After all, Hinata Hyuga, daughter of Hayashi and Hana Hyuga, an heiress of the Hyuga clan, come forward, Genryusai said in his commanding regal tone. Hinata fought the urge to eep. She nervously stood up and walked forward until she was only a few feet from the Uzumaki clan. As practiced, she bowed to the daimyo, then waited for him to continue. Naruto Uzumaki, son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, crown prince of Whirlpool, come forward. Naruto, like a true Uzumaki, did as told without showing how nervous he actually was. Naruto stopped when he was standing in front of Hinata. His clear blue eyes looked directly into her pupil-less lavender eyes, though it was only for a few seconds. To the both of them it seemed like an eternity as they looked into each other's eyes. The eyes of their future spouses. Hinata knew she had to be the first to introduce herself, but had a hard time tearing her eyes away from the intense, piercing blue gaze that seemed to look directly into her soul. But with a great effort she did, and with a bow to her future husband she introduced herself. My name is Hinata Hyuga. It is an honor to meet you. Naruto followed her lead and did the same. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. It is an honor to meet you as well. Both kids straightened up, looking rather embarrassed, which brought smiles to some of the people in the room. Excellent Naruto, why don't you show Hinata around the palace? It will give you both time to get to know each other without adults getting in the way. I have things to discuss with our guest that neither of you need to be here for, said Genryusai. Naruto, hating these boring meeting, didn't need to be told twice. Lady Hinata, please allow me to escort you around the palace, Naruto said as he extended his arm as he had been trained to. Hinata blushed prettily. Thank you, Naruto-sama, she said as she took his arm. Let him lead her out of the throne room. Once Naruto and Hinata had left the room, Genryusai turned to look at the rest of the Leaf Ninja. He wasn't happy to have the extra members of the group, but he would deal with it. Are you sure they should be left alone, Daimyo-sama asked Koharu Yutatane. I assure you they are perfectly safe inside the People's Palace. Besides their children, they should be allowed to get to know each other without adults interfering. But this is a very important meeting that you were not invited to. Genryusai cut her off. This was to be a private matter between the Uzumaki and the Hyuga clans. This union is of greater importance than that, and you know it. The entire Leaf Village has a stake in the outcome of the marriage between those children. We only wish to do what we can to help them get along as best as possible. I'm confident they don't need any of us to get along. Besides, they have plenty of time to get to know each other. While that may be true, Daimyo-sama, it would be illogical to ignore the importance that their first meeting has in their future relationship. Shibi Aburame said in his usual monotone voice. It is more important that they are allowed to be themselves, which they can't do with all of us adding unnecessary pressure. Their relationship will take time to build. What we should do is make things as easy as possible for the kids to grow closer on their own, answered Genryusai. Reluctantly, the rest of the Leaf Ninja agreed. If that is all for now, I'm sure you are all still tired from your trip. Let us meet at dinner. After all of you have had time to rest, you will have samurai escorts outside your respective rooms. In case you wish to explore the palace, please be aware that any and all chakra use can be detected. That includes your bugs. Aburame-san, please remain with your escorts at all times. When you leave your rooms, we don't want any incidents, said Genryusai, making sure everyone knew it wasn't a request. Just as everyone was making their way out of the throne room, one of the Hyuga stayed behind. I would like a private word with you, if I could. Uzumaki-sama, said the Hyuga elder. Genryusai already knew the man would ask for this meeting, so he wanted to get it over with. Very well, what would you like to speak about, Hyuga-san asked Genryusai politely. I would like to speak to you about the agreement that was arranged between yourself and Hayashi. As you know, the Hyuga clan is very protective of our bloodline. Hayashi agreed to your request of having Hinata be a Kugan unsealed without the permission of the Hyuga Council. As a clan head of a ninja clan with your own bloodline, you understand that we would like to find a way for your clan to keep its members enslaved. Cut in Kenshin. In an angry tone, the elder glared at Kenshin, but knew better than to answer him, because Kenshin was right. As I told Hayashi, that is non-negotiable. I have studied your cage bird seal, and it's an abomination you changed the seal my Aunt Mito made for the Hyuga. That seal protected your bloodline without the ability to cause pain to the one bearing it. Do not forget, Hyuga-san, I am known as the best seal master in the world. Do you honestly believe I haven't already found a way to safely remove that seal of yours? The Uzumaki smirked as the Hyuga elder paled. Oh yes, I already have. I already told Hayashi and Hina about it. They both believe it would cause too much bloodshed if we were to try to have the Hyuga branch house unsealed at the moment. However, it is a possibility. Personally, what the Hyuga do to each other is none of my concern. However, Hinata is as good as an Uzumaki in my eyes. Genryusai's eyes narrowed and his tone of voice hardened. And the Uzumaki take care of their own. Is that clear? The elder gritted his teeth and answered crystal. He then stormed out of the room in a rage. What are the chances that they will let this go? Asked Kenshin. Not likely. They're too stubborn for them to let it go so easily. We'll have to keep an eye on things. If they try something stupid, they'll find out why. You don't ever anger the Uzumaki. Shortly after leaving the throne room, Naruto was leading a nervous Hinata through one of the many halls in the palace. He stopped and turned to look at Hinata. So what would you like to see first? He asked. Not sure what she would like. Hinata fidgeted with her finger before saying, anything you like will be fine, Naruto-sama. Oh, you really don't need to use the whole sama thing. I don't really care about that stuff. Besides, I thought that we could be friends, you know, Naruto said as he smiled and scratched the back of his head. Hinata blushed. Oh okay, Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled and nodded. So Hinata, what kinds of things do you like to do back home? Well, I like to spend time in the garden with my sister or learning to cook with my mother when I'm not studying or training. I also like to read. In that case, let's go to one of the palaces garden, said Naruto. Hinata was excited when she heard that, thinking he meant the Garden of Life. Naruto escorted Hinata to a very spacious garden with many beautiful flowers. It was beautiful, but not what Hinata expected, so she asked Naruto, is this the Garden of Life? Oh, you know about that? No, this is just one of our regular gardens. To be honest, even I haven't been to the Garden of Life. It's a very important location for my clan. It holds the remains of the founder of our clan, my Grandfather said he would take me to it soon though I'm sorry but I can't take you there well not until we're actually married he said causing both of them blush furiously. What kind of training do you do Naruto-kun? Hinata asked once they took a seat in one of the many stone benches that the garden had. I do all kinds of training. I have 9 different teachers that help me study all sort of things. 9 teachers. I only train with my parents, but I will start the academy and when we return to the village I'm really looking forward to it. Hinata noticed that Naruto frowned when she mentioned the Leaf Village. Is something wrong Naruto-kun? I'm sorry Hinata, but I don't have a good opinion of the Leaf Village. Why? I know that you used to live there but my mother didn't tell me much. Can you tell me? I would like to get to know you better. Naruto sighed. Okay, since we're going to be friends and more than that later on I guess you have a right to know everything. And Naruto did tell Hinata everything. He told her about his parents' deaths, about his treatment in the orphanage, and more importantly about the fox getting sealed inside of him. Hinata was in tears by the end of his tale. Naruto thought she was crying because she thought he was some kind of freak or because she was scared of him. He couldn't help but feel hurt. He thought he would finally have a friend. Imagine his surprise when Naruto felt Hinata's arms wrap around him. As she gave him a tight hug, Naruto felt his own eyes water as he returned the hug. I'm sorry that the people of my village treated you that way Naruto-kun. You didn't deserve any of it. You never asked to be the jailer of a demon. You mean you're not afraid? Asked the confused Naruto. My mother told me that your mom was also a Jinchuriki and she was still my mother's best friend. I don't care about that. I still want to be your friend. I actually don't have any back home. There are not many kids my age in the clan, and I'm not allowed to go outside the compound without an escort, so it makes it hard for me to approach other kids. Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't have any friends my age either. Well, we have each other now, right? Just like our moms had each other. Naruto smiled widely. Yeah, I guess we do. After Naruto and Hinata spent some more time talking and getting to know what each other liked or didn't like, one of the servants came to let them know they had to get ready for dinner. After Naruto escorted Hinata to the room she shared with her parents and sister, Naruto left to get ready with a big smile on his face. The dinner went surprisingly well. Naruto and Hinata sat next to each other and talked about many little things like what food they liked or didn't like, while the adults talked about politics and finances. They all paid attention to how well Naruto and Hinata seemed to be getting along. That was a relief to everyone, especially Hinata's parents and Naruto's family. The next day was Naruto's birthday and the entire palace was a buzz of activity. After breakfast, Hinata joined Naruto in his taijutsu training with Sano. Naruto soon learned that the Hyuga were feared for a reason. The gentle fist wasn't very gentle at all and it hurt. After training, the Leaf Ninja and the Uzumaki left the palace to go to a kenjutsu tournament that was being held in Naruto's honor. The members of the Leaf Village were very impressed with some of the skilled samurai that participated in the tournament, especially when they were told that none of the officers of the Guardian Corps were allowed to participate. It just showed that Whirlpool was a dangerous enemy to have. After that, Dindril had a parade that was attended by thousands of people and was enjoyed by everyone. After the parade, the group returned to the palace where they had an early dinner. After dinner, the Uzumaki and the Leaf Ninja were waiting for Hana and Hinata to finish getting ready so they could go to the city and enjoy the rest of the festival-like attractions. What's taking them so long? Said an impatient Naruto. Walking around the city at night was one of his favorite things to do on his birthday. That and looking at the fireworks. Naruto was wearing a formal dark blue kimono similar to the one he had worn the day before. This one was a little more casual and allowed for the wearer to be more comfortable while walking around. You better get used to waiting around for women, because it only gets worse when they're older. Women are so troublesome, said Shikaku, who was wearing a gray kimono provided by the Uzumaki clan. Asuma and Shibi were wearing similar ones. Shibi's, however, was altered to cover the bottom part of his face. He was still wearing his sunglasses. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. Shikaku was about to answer before he suddenly felt a sense of dread creep over him. Yes, please explain, Shikaku-san. I'm sure your wife would like to hear what you have to say. Everyone turned to see Hana, who was wearing a beautiful lavender kimono. She had Hanabi in her arms. Hanabi was wearing a white and red kimono that made her look real cute. A very nervous Shikaku answered, nothing, I didn't mean anything at all. Women are the least troublesome of anything at all, really. This made several members of the group chuckle, and Asuma made a coughing sound that sounded a lot like whipped. Naruto was still confused, but his attention was stolen by the person that had just entered the room. Hinata was wearing the ember silk kimono that had been given to her on her birthday. Naruto felt his face heat up. Hinata looked more like a princess than many of the actual princesses he had met. Do I look okay, Naruto-kun? She asked shyly with small blush on her face. Naruto's blush deepened. You look very pretty, Hinata. Hinata's face was so red that it would have made a tomato jealous. Naruto gave her one of his face-splitting smiles. Yes, I'm calling you Hinata from now on. Is that okay? I would like that, Naruto-kun. The rest of the night went very well for the group. The kids enjoyed the games and the food. Hinata noticed how much the people of Whirlpool loved Naruto. Many times people would come up to them as they walked around and introduce themselves or just said hello. Hinata herself was well treated in the Leaf Village, but never to this extent. It was like Naruto was a celebrity here. Naruto, however, didn't seem to notice very much. He was always polite and happy to talk to any of the people. He never ignored them or acted like he was too important to speak with. Commoners like some of the members of her clan. Hinata really liked that about him. At the end of the night, the group returned to the palace and watched the fireworks that signaled the end of Naruto's birthday celebration. Naruto had to admit he had been worried about meeting Hinata. He was unsure what he should have expected, but now he was happy to have met her. She is a little shy sometimes, but she is very kind. She is also very smart, and will be a strong ninja when she is older. He was glad that Hinata is a very down-to-earth girl and not snobbish at all. Most of all, Naruto was glad to finally have a friend his own age, someone he could talk to about kid stuff but could also talk to about clan stuff as well. It didn't hurt that Naruto, though Hinata was very pretty. The Hyuga clan along with the rest of the guests stayed for 2 weeks in Whirlpool. In that time, Naruto spent most of his time with Hinata. They trained together. With most of Naruto's teachers, Naruto was adamant that Hinata did not meet Shigeru for her own safety. Hai said he wasn't a babysitter, so he wasn't there with Kurama, but Hinata met all of Naruto's other teachers. Hinata was not allowed to go with Naruto to his Kenjutsu training because she was not an Uzumaki yet. The Uzumaki and Hinata's parents considered the visit a complete success. The kids got along great and quickly became friends as had been agreed. Hinata will visit every summer until she became a genin, which will be in 5 years. At that point, Naruto will have a choice to become a Leaf Genin and spend more time with Hinata, or wait until he and Hinata reach their 16th birthday, at which point they will be allowed to get married. Both the Uzumaki and Hinata's parents hope to wait longer than that. It is the earliest that the wedding can happen, but that didn't mean that they wanted the kids married so soon. It was time to say goodbye. The rest of the Leaf Ninja had boarded the ship, and now Hana and Hayashi waited as Hinata said goodbye to Naruto. "I'm glad we met, Hinata. I'll make sure to write to you as much as I can," said Naruto. "I'm glad to have met you too, Naruto-kun. I promise to write as well." Hinata had a lot of fun spending time with Naruto. He was always so confident about everything and his happy attitude was infectious. Hinata found herself laughing and playing for the first time in her life. Sure, she played with Hanabi, but it was not the same because she was so small. She was really going to miss Naruto. "I guess I will see you next summer. Have fun in the academy, okay, Hinata?" "I will, and I will be a lot stronger next year too. I can't wait." "Goodbye, Naruto said as he hugged Hinata. "Goodbye, Naruto-kun." Hinata returned a hug. She was having a hard time trying not to cry. She just made her first friend, and she wouldn't see him for a whole year. After they were finished saying goodbye, Hinata and her family boarded the ship. Naruto was sad to see her go, but he would see Hinata again. "Don't worry, Naruto-kun, you will see Hinata-chan again before you know it," said Genryusai. "I know, grandfather, but I will still miss her." "Oh, I don't know if you'll have time to miss her too much." "What do you mean?" asked Naruto. "Your uncle and I have decided to increase your level of training both for your physical, academic, and political training, so plan to be very busy over the next few months." Naruto grinned. That sounded like a challenge to him. Naruto Uzumaki never backed down from a challenge. Time skip. It was a very exciting day for Hinata. Today was the first day of the academy. Hinata had been escorted by her mother and father. She had noticed several other parents as they brought their kids to school. Hinata was nervous, but she was looking forward to learning and hopefully also making friends. When Hinata walked in the room that she had been assigned to, she noticed some familiar faces. The heirs for the Nara, Kimichi, Aburame, and Inazuka clans were all there. Hinata noticed that the second son of the Uchiha clan head was there as well. There were several children from civilian families there too, including a pink-haired girl that was talking to the Yamanaka clan heiress. Hinata made her way to the back of the class and took the seat next to the Aburame heir Shino. Hinata had met him on a few occasions and observed he was a very quiet boy. Hinata thought he was nice enough. Several minutes later, two Chunin walked in the room and asked for everyone to quiet down. "All right, everyone settle down. My name is Iruka Umino. This is Mizuki. We will be your instructors for your time in the academy." Iruka Sensei explained several of the rules of the academy and what he expected of them in the future. "Okay then, now why don't we get to know each other? I will call each of your names and I would like each of you to stand up and introduce yourselves. Let's start with." Hinata watched as Iruka Sensei called several names and the children introduced themselves. Nothing too exciting. They would say their name and if they came from a clan they would say as much. Finally, it was Hinata's turn. "Next is Hinata Hyuga. Please introduce yourself." Hinata was a little nervous but tried not to show it. As she stood up, she did notice that her name caused several whispers among the students, especially among the children from ninja clans. "My name is Hinata Hyuga of the Hyuga clan. Nice to meet all of you." Hinata then gave the class a small bow and took her seat. She had no idea that all kids from the major clans of the village and some of the kids related to members of the civilian council had instructed their children to try and be friends with her. They didn't tell their children why Hinata was so important, and that was the reason why many of the kids were curious about her. After everyone had introduced themselves, it was time for a break and everyone was let out of the class. Once Hinata made her way to the playing ground area, she realized that some of the kids would whisper and point, which made Hinata uncomfortable. You shouldn't let them get to you, you know. Hinata turned around to see the Inuzuka heir standing behind her. They've just heard a lot about you. We all have. Actually, why you have asked the confused Hinata. How could they have heard a lot about her when she rarely left the Hyuga compound? Yes, we have. A monotone voice was heard to the side of them. Hinata and Kiba turned to see that it was Shino Aburame who spoke. Shino was standing under the shade of a tree looking at some ants. What did you hear? Asked Hinata. Kiba shrugged. Only that you are somehow important to the village. Something about your clan having an important alliance with some other big shot clan. My mom told me not to do anything that would make your clan angry at my clan. Not that I plan on doing something like that anyway. My father also spoke of an important political alliance between the Hyuga and another clan that was of great importance to the Leaf Village. He said it would be illogical for me to do anything that would cause a conflict between our clan and the Hyuga. Shino said in his usual tone of voice. I see. Thank you both for telling me. Hinata spent the rest of playtime with Kiba and Shino, then the lunchtime that they had later that day as well. She didn't tell them about her arranged marriage, and they didn't try to ask about it either. The rest of the day went fairly well. Kids were still pointing, but overall Hinata enjoyed her first day at the academy. When the class was over, she said goodbye to Shino and Kiba and went to meet her parents. How was your first day, honey? Asked her mother. Hinata smiled. I liked it very much. I met several new people too. I think I'm going to enjoy coming here very much. Well, we are happy to hear it. Come on, Hinata, let's go home. You can tell us all about it. Okay, I also want to write a letter to Naruto-kun and tell him all about it. I'm sure he would love that. Unknown to the Hyuga family, another of Hinata's classmates was watching them as they left. So that's the girl that father mentioned. I don't see what's so special about her. I guess I'll have to keep an eye on her. Are you ready to go, Sasuke? If we're late, mother will be upset. Yes, brother, let's go. A few days after the visitors from the Leaf Village left for home, Naruto sat in front of both his grandfather and uncle. They were going to discuss his new training with him before he actually got started. Naruto was excited. He looked forward to new and exciting training. Naruto, after speaking with your uncle, we both have decided that you are ready to begin your training with a real Uzumaki blade. Naruto's face lit up with happiness and excitement. Naruto had been waiting for a long time for permission to start training with an actual katana, but his uncle had insisted that he wasn't ready. Now that his uncle felt he was ready, Naruto couldn't wait to get started. So you're finally going to give me a katana? That's so cool. I can't wait to get started. Naruto, calm down now. The first thing you need to know is that as an Uzumaki you don't just get a blade handed to you. The Hiten Mitsurugi requires a special blade to be forged in order to be able to handle the stress that our style places on the sword we use. Kenshin answered in a stern voice. So I have to make a sword for myself? Cool, it's not that simple, Naruto. It will take months or even years to be able to forge a sword good enough to be used with the Hiten Mitsurugi. In the meantime, we will continue to use practice swords, only these will be made of steel so that you can get used to the feel of a real blade in your hands. Hearing from his uncle that they will still use practice swords frustrated Naruto a little, but he got over it rather quickly. Before you start your training, your uncle and I believe it's time we take you to see the Garden of Life. Every Uzumaki is allowed to see the grave of our clan's founder and lay eyes on the great Erasure before they begin their advanced level of training in the Hiten Mitsurugi. Now that got Naruto excited. Awesome, I've wanted to go there forever. So when can we go, grandfather? We will go there now. There is no reason to wait any longer. Cool, let's go, yelled an energetic Naruto as he sprinted out the door. He doesn't know where the garden is, does he? Asked Kenshin. Genryusai sighed. No, I don't think he does. Well, might as well go get him before he gets lost again. Good idea. The Garden of Life stood at the very center of the People's Palace. It was a place that could only be entered by a member of the Uzumaki clan. There was a single corridor that led to the only entrance to the garden. That corridor was always under guard by members of the Guardian Corps. When the garden was created, it was layered with hundreds of seals created by the Uzumaki clan. The seals were for everything from climate control to self-cleaning seals. There are seals to protect the stones and rare plants, flowers, and artifacts. Naruto was speechless the moment he entered the garden. The Garden of Life was set in a perfectly circular pattern with a roof dome of clear glass that let in the bright daylight for the many lush and beautiful plants and trees that inhabited the garden. Around the garden, set in beds along the walls, there were plants of all types, colors, and sizes. Naruto recognized some as different types of roses, tulips, orchids, and many flower species Naruto had never seen or heard of. Along the flower beds there were walkways made of a flawless bright white stone that appeared to be some type of marble. The walkways wound around the entire room, giving access to every part of it without the need to step on any of the plants or perfectly kept grass. Beyond the flowers were some exotic trees, short stone walls with vines covering them, and more well-tended plants that complemented the landscape. Naruto noticed many of those plants were plants used for medical purposes. Some of them were very rare. If he remembered correctly, the garden was certainly a place of beauty and peace. Naruto was led towards the center of the vast garden. In the center of the garden there was an area of lawn that swept around into a circle. Towards the middle of the garden, in the very center, there was a spacious and extravagant-looking pond filled with crystal-clear water and beautiful koi fish of different colors and sizes. In the center of the large pond was a small island which could only be accessed by a bridge made of the same flawless white marble that made up the garden's many walkways. On the island there were two things that drew Naruto's attention. One was an ancient-looking white tree that looked a lot like a sakura tree, except that the flowers on it were not the usual pink-colored flowers that Naruto would have expected. The flowers on this tree were a bright blood-red color that was a breathtaking sight to see. At the center of the island there was what Naruto knew was the tomb of the founder of the Uzumaki clan. It was a simple, perfectly rectangular-shaped tomb made of white marble. It was about 3 feet high, just low enough for Naruto to be able to see it without problem. The tomb also had intricate carvings of historical scenes on all 4 sides. The one that drew Naruto's attention most was the carving that depicted the creation of the massive whirlpools that gave their country its name. Here lies the founder of our clan, one of the original members of the Roku Kyoshu and student of the Sage of Six Paths. This is the tomb of Takashi Uzumaki, Lord of Storms, wielder of the legendary sword Heir. The moment that his grandfather mentioned the legendary blade, Naruto's eyes shot to the top of the tomb where his grandfather had told him the blade rested, and just as Naruto had been told, the once magnificent blade laid on top of its master's tomb. The Heir had been broken in 3 pieces. Naruto looked at the first piece. It was the hilt of the blade. The handle was wrapped in a dark ocean blue silk that looked almost new. Naruto had expected it to look old and worn. Naruto had been told by his uncle that the material was ember silk that had been layered with seals to protect it from stains and damage. Still, it didn't look used at all. The handguard was a red circle and was made in the shape of the Uzumaki crest. It was the blade itself that took Naruto's breath away. The blade was of average length, about 28 inches, and had been broken in 2 in almost the center of the blade. That, however, was not really noticed by Naruto. What drew Naruto's attention was that the blade of the sword didn't look like it was made of metal at all. The blade looked almost like it was made of glass or water. It had a color like clear blue water, and Naruto could tell that the blade was semi-transparent. Naruto's hand moved as though drawn to the sword with a mind of its own to touch it. Be careful, Naruto, the blade is ouch, it's still sharp. Naruto whined as he sucked on his now bleeding finger. Genryusai sighed. I tried to tell you, Naruto, the blade may be hundreds of years old, but it has never grown dull because of the many seals placed on it when Takashi forged it. What's it made of? Asked Naruto. Genryusai was about to answer him when Kenshin spoke. Father, look at the Heir. There was more emotion in his uncle's voice than Naruto had ever heard come out of him. Naturally, both Uzumaki looked at the sword to see what he was so excited about. When Naruto and his grandfather turned to look at the sword, they saw that the blade had begun to glow. It was only faintly at first, but it quickly grew brighter and brighter. Suddenly, the ends of the blade where it had been broken seemed to momentarily liquefy and connect with each other. The glowing slowly stopped, and when it had completed, the Heir was whole once more. By Kami, I don't believe my eyes, said a stunned Kenshin, almost as if in a trance. Genryusai spoke. In the time before the great darkness, the true heir of Whirlpool shall rise, and only then will the sword that was broken be remade. But that's impossible. You can't actually belly. You saw with your own eyes. Kenshin. Naruto touched the sword, and only then did this happen, Genryusai said, pointing to the Heir. What are both of you talking about? What's going on? Asked the confused Naruto. Genryusai looked directly into his grandson's eyes. When Takashi Uzumaki was on his deathbed, he spoke of a child of prophecy, the one that would save the world from a great darkness. His last words before he died were the words I spoke. From that time till this day, every heir of the Uzumaki clan has been brought here before they start their advanced training, and after they have completed said training, I never imagined that I would live to see the day that the Heir would accept another as its master, far less that it would be my own grandson. What does this all mean exactly? Asked Naruto. It means that your training is going to be even more intense than we originally planned. It appears that you will be important not only to Whirlpool but to the entire world in the future. I hope you're ready for it, Naruto. Naruto grinned. Believe it. The sound of clashing steel rang across the Uzumaki private training ground. Several days later, a frustrated looking Naruto held Heir firmly with both hands. Unlike his uncle, Naruto was covered in shallow cuts and bruises, some that were already healing thanks to the Uzumaki bloodline. Naruto, don't just react to my attacks, you have to pay attention to my movements. The Hiten Mitsurugi style relies on our ability read our opponent's attacks. Pay attention to my stance, look closely to how I distribute my weight. Every small detail of your opponent's posture can be used to predict what he or she is going to do next. Every movement, no matter how small, can be what determines whether your fight ends in victory and defeat. Yes, uncle, I will try harder, answered Naruto. Let's take a short break for now. We can continue after you have rested a little. Okay, father said you received a letter from Hinata. Did you write her back? Yes, she started the academy and is really happy. She has already made some new friends and is enjoying spending time with kid her own age. I wrote back and told her about the Heir. I see. I'm glad to see that you are getting along with each other. Once we are finished with today's training, father wants to speak to us. Is there something wrong? Asked Naruto. I don't know, we will have to see what he wishes to speak to us about. Naruto continued his new Kenjutsu training. His uncle was harder on him now that he was wielding a true Uzumaki blade. Naruto was much like Kenshin was in his younger years, a natural for the Hiten Mitsurugi. Naruto would suck in all information that he was told and learn from his mistakes incredibly quickly. Kenshin had no doubt that if Naruto continued to learn at this pace and with the power that the Heir already possessed, Naruto would one day be wearing the master's coat for Kenjutsu. Once training was finished, both Naruto and Kenshin met with Genryusai to discuss the business that he wished to speak to them about. Thank you both for coming. I have news that need to be discussed between the three of us, said Genryusai in a no-nonsense-like tone. Yes, father, said Kenshin. Naruto nodded in acknowledgement. 4 days ago there an incident involving a ship in one of our transport companies. Kenshin frowned. What kind of incident? He asked. As our ship was traveling towards its destination in the southern continent, it was intercepted by a military ship belonging to the Hidden Mist Village. The Mist Ninja claimed that they were patrolling for smugglers and demanded to be allowed to search the ship. That's ridiculous. Whirlpool would never participate in such a dishonorable act, said Kenshin. Something that our captain made sure to tell them. He also told them the fact that even though the ship was near the land of water, they were in international waters and Mist Village had no authority to search our vessel. So what happened? Asked Naruto, who was very interested in the outcome. Unfortunately, the incident escalated because neither side would back down. The end result was an altercation between the Mist Ninja and our samurai. Our escorts cut down several Mist Ninja before they retreated back to their ship. Unfortunately, they answered with a full military strike against our ship. Our vessel was able to escape, but with severe damage. Nearly all the cargo of expensive silks, spices, herbs and other things trading goods was lost. We also suffered several casualties to the ship's crew. I would never have believed that the fourth Mizukage would be foolish enough to start conflict with us after what happened to the first. He claims that it was not his intention to start a conflict, but he is not admitting blame for the altercation. Neither he nor the daimyo is willing to pay for the damages either. We are not going to just let this go, or they hurt some of our people. Naruto was furious. He was very protective of the people of Whirlpool. They had welcomed him with open arms and had shown nothing but love and respect to him. Anybody hurting his people would find. Naruto's rage focused on them. No, we certainly cannot let this insult go unanswered. If we did, it would jeopardize the safety of all our ships. If other nations thought they could get away with something like this, said Genryusai, not to mention that we would lose many of our transportation contracts if companies didn't think our ships can get their goods to their destinations safely, said Kenshin. So what are we going to do about it? Asked Naruto. Genryusai smirked. The water daimyo and the Mizukage need reminding of why our clan is not to be trifled with. I have decided that both of you will go pay a visit to Water Country and be the ones to remind the Mizukage and Water Daimyo. Are you sure, father? Naruto is very young and things might get complicated. I don't want him to be hurt if any unusual altercations come up, said Kenshin. Naruto could tell that there was something more to it. His uncle looked bothered. Naruto didn't know if he was ready to be part of a diplomatic envoy, but he would do his best. If his grandfather asked it of him, your concerns are noted. You have my permission to do whatever necessary to assure Naruto's safety. He needs to learn what is expected of him once is as the leader of our nation. I think this will be a perfect opportunity for him. As you wish, father, answered Kenshin. Then prepare to depart tomorrow morning. I have ordered a ship prepared. You will take a single samurai squad as an escort. They will be ordered to keep watch over Naruto at all times and to use deadly force if necessary to protect him. Kenshin and Naruto both nodded and left to get ready for their trip.